I thrive off of the ability to pressure guys until they break. And at the moment they break, I felt them break, and I fell in love. Like I did with the heroin.
We had done everything humanly possible that I could do medically as far as that goes. But you cannot help somebody until they can help themselves.
Addiction, by its nature, knows no ending and understands no limit but the final one. That's the limit Court McGee reached, the death that preceded his life.
That was it. That was the best that Court McGee could do, was overdose and die on heroin. That's all I could do.
In 2002, McGee's life was simple. A junior at Layton High School in Utah, he lived to wrestle.
I had that spark, and I don't know, there's some fire in you get when you're wrestling with another guy, and they start getting better position. You want to fight, and you want to get better position. It's just that raw sport.
Court has always just wanted to push to see how much better or what else more he could give, because when he gives 1,000%. And he wouldn't tap out, he wouldn't quit.
As one of the top wrestlers in Utah, McGee's intensity on the mat forced him to endure 9 surgeries in his final 2 years of high school.
He broke his collarbone and he had to take a bunch of pain medicine for that, and then he had pain medicine for an elbow surgery. And after that, he kind of slowly started to go downhill.
By the time he graduated, McGee was abusing the drugs prescribed to him by doctors. At a friend's suggestion, he decided to try snorting OxyContin.
I said, well, I'm going to try it once. If I don't like it, I'll never do it again. So I did it. I didn't like it. I didn't get really high. I didn't see the benefit. And so immediately after, I thought, I'm going to try it one more time. So I crushed it up and I snorted it, and it went, and I went, wow.
Just 2 years out of high school, he'd progressed to Xanax, cocaine, and methamphetamine. At 20, in his friend's basement, he first tried black tar heroin.
He was shooting up, and for whatever reason, I said, hey man, I want to do it. He said, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And I remember very vividly, he wrapped the belt around my right arm, and he found the vein, and he just went, psh. And man, it went in my arm, and it was just, and I remember my head fell back, and I had 2 tears roll out of my eyes, and I remember them hitting my earlobes, and I went, and at that moment, all my problems went away. I couldn't look my dad in the eyes, I couldn't look my mom in the eyes. Chelsea left, and that's the first time that I can honestly say I had fallen in love with my drug, just like that.
His family, unable to stop his drug use, reached its breaking point, throwing him out of the house.
That was pretty hard for me especially, but I knew that that's what we had to do, and we packed him up and he got an apartment and moved out. That night I didn't have a whole lot of faith in him. I had pretty much given up on him at that point, and that was something that was hard on me to think that I had given up on him, but I did.
Just a few weeks later, McGee was living in a trailer with his cousin when he hit bottom.
I shot up that last time, and I remember I was sitting on the toilet in this little trailer in this bathroom, and I remember just like I did that first time, I put it in and I shot up that whole entire thing, and I went, oh shit, and I got sweaty, and then
My niece called me and he was dead. And then She started CPR, and we were there within less than 2 minutes. We didn't know how long he'd been down. He was blue. Absolutely the most devastating, sickening feeling of my life.
September 9th, 2005, just before 11 p.m., Court McGee, 20 years old, was dead. For at least 8 minutes, he had no heartbeat and no pulse. And then, as paramedics continued CPR and defibrillation, he returned.
Our Court came back, with that, that bright look in his eyes.
I think that was a miracle that he made it through as long as he did.
I feel so blessed and so fortunate that I don't have a son that's 6 feet under.
To tell you the truth, I was disappointed that I was alive. Because I had to wake up in this hellhole, in this hell of an earth, and go back to the only thing I knew, and that was getting high. And I didn't want to do that anymore.
McGee was in the hospital and then in treatment for 32 days. Still, 6 months later, back at home, he reached his moment of truth.
I snuck into my parents' room while they were asleep at like 3 o'clock in the morning and took a beer out of it, and I walked downstairs, cracked the beer open, and then I heard my dad's footsteps coming down the stairs. When he came down the stairs and he saw I had the beer, he said, "I thought you weren't supposed to be drinking." And I saw that same look in his eyes and disappointment, and I haven't had a drink since. That was April 16th, 2006. That was it. I was done.
No drinking, no drugs, no lies. McGee began attending recovery meetings daily, and a year after his low point discovered a simple truth. One can't replace something with nothing. He found his replacement, a new addiction, mixed martial arts.
I was reborn, and I wanted to compete and to pursue a career in something that I love.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone in my life that works harder than Court McGee. So I figured him coming in and having gone through what he had, that he would not be one that's going to quit. He's not going to quit on the stool in the cage. He's not going to quit, in the middle of a fight, because he didn't quit on life.
The former wrestler spent 4 years fighting locally, climbing the ranks of MMA. And in 2010, he competed on the UFC's reality show, The Ultimate Fighter. In the show's finale, with a 6-figure UFC contract on the line, McGee fought his way to a fresh chance and a new life.
I want to dedicate this fight to anybody who's struggling today. I love you all. And my family, my dad, mom, and Chelsea and Isaac. I love you guys.
It was just the crowning moment of years and years of hard work and overcoming the adversity that he had. He's now, refocused, almost an addiction, to competition and an addiction to improvement. And I think that he's now channeled those addictive behaviors into something positive and something that can help other people.
Now 6 years clean, McGee was back in Utah this summer, carrying his message to a peaceful setting and a knowing audience. Serving as a sponsor for a group of recovering addicts, he shepherds men whose stories and struggles are like his own.
But it was an eye-opener, big time.
Shane Stoneman, a former pro boxer who battled drug abuse and alcoholism for more than a decade, has been clean for nearly a year. With McGee in his corner, he landed a job training fighters at a local gym.
And somebody that's already been through what I've been through, and you see it works with him. You know what I mean? He had something I wanted. It was a better life, and to be sober. He was a huge, huge blessing in my life.
Whether fighting is his new addiction or counseling his new direction, for Court McGee, it's still the same life, the one that started with his death and taught him how precious the difference.
It makes me want to stay sober, man, and it makes me want to fight harder. So when I step in that ring, you know, I don't just go in there just to beat that guy. I go in there to beat that guy, to carry the message to people that there's a way out.